A New York Times Siena College poll out today shows that 64% of likely Democratic primary voters want a candidate other than President Joe Biden on the ballot in 2024. But which candidate would that be? Joining us now is pollster and communications strategist Frank Luntz. He's also the author of Win, the Key Principles to Take Your Business from Ordinary to Extraordinary. Frank, great to see you.
It's been a long time. I've been so looking forward to it. You look great. And let's have a really good conversation about this.
Thank you, Frank. I look forward to it as well. I've been watching you from afar, and you look great as well. So let's just talk about us. No, just kidding. Let's talk about President Biden. It's not, I mean, here's what I think the White House would say. He's had some major successes. He just helped get this bipartisan gun bill passed, the first in 30 years or something like that. The bipartisan infrastructure bill. The unemployment numbers are great. He doesn't control the Supreme Court. Why isn't that good enough for Democrats?
Because the number one issue for Democrats, independents, and Republicans, regardless of whether you're from California or Connecticut, is inflation. And the public looks at that issue and is wondering, what is this White House doing? Now, it is not his fault. He inherited an inflationary situation. But you can't say they made anything better, and you have to say that some of the policies have probably made things worse. The number two issue is crime, insecurity, chaos at the border. Absolutely, the abortion issue is important, and absolutely the president deserves credit for what happened with guns. But those issues pale in comparison to economic security and personal security. And that's the challenge for the White House right now.
Frank, what about the Roe versus Wade decision? Do you see that changing, being a factor in the midterms and helping Democrats?
I do, and yes, it will, particularly in suburban areas. There are two segments of the voter population that we should be following right now. The first are women between the ages of 30 and 49, married with children. They used to be a Republican bloc. They moved to the Democrats when Donald Trump became the leader of the Republicans. They had begun to move back to the GOP, but Roe v. Wade matters to them. The ability to guarantee that they're pro-choice, and they have that ability, that matters to them. And they've started to shift back to the Democrats we see in the polling. But the other group that is equally important and just as large a constituency are Latinos, Hispanics. You have a split that's coming between the black and the brown communities that is very significant, not just for the 2022 elections, but also for the presidency. Go back to 2016, 28% of Latinos and Hispanics voted Republican. 38% voted Republican in 2020. We are now looking at in the low 40s. And if it remains that way, and it could climb even higher, then Democrats are going to have an impossible time keeping control of the House. But on the Senate side, because of that suburban middle-aged women vote, female vote, that may be enough for Democrats to keep control of the Senate.
That's really interesting because we just heard Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee talk about the numbers that she was saying that she thought looked optimistic for Democrats. But I also want to ask you about what's happening with the January 6th committee and whether or not you think that that's having any impact. I heard you saying that you thought that Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren was using sort of ineffective language about it and what the committee's role is. So let me play that for you.
We are going to be connecting the dots during these hearings between these groups and those who were trying to, in government circles to overturn the elections.
Isn't that their job, Frank? What's wrong with that language? It's exactly their job, but it's not the right language. That's exactly what you do, but you don't say it. You don't tell people the conclusion, you let them come to it, which is why this hearings, they could have been so much more effective if they had shown the videos first, give people the evidence, the facts first, and then draw the conclusion. But the problem is that politicians always want to speak first. They always want to set the tone. They always want camera time. And that undercuts the credibility of the hearings. And with each passing hearing, the viewership is falling. And it's falling among people who they really want to watch. Democrats have already made up their minds that Donald Trump isn't their cup of tea. Independents are not nearly as engaged, and the Republicans, quite frankly, aren't watching at all. So how are you going to change public opinion if the people that you most need to pay attention are the ones least likely to follow it? So I've got simple advice for them, because I know they watch your show. Stop doing the politics, stop doing the histrionics, let the people decide. Show them the facts, the videos of this, and then let them draw their own conclusion. You don't have to connect the dots. The American public is smart enough that they will.
We'll see if they take your advice tomorrow. Frank Luntz, great to see you. Let's do more of this. Really appreciate you coming on.
I'd love to. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Frank.